What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Uh, Anyways, so today I wanted to talk about why I have decided to delete social media once again. So I deleted my social media 2 years ago for about 9 months, and social media for me at the time included mostly Instagram. I didn't really use TikTok, but I did delete that account as well. I had two Instagram accounts. I had an influencer page where I had 20,000 followers and I was sharing curly hair tips, advice, product recommendations. And I had my personal page where I shared everything else. So, there's two different types of social media users. I feel like there's the people who have an account and they consume, they're watching people's stories, they're probably scrolling more than they should, but they never post themselves. And then there's the other people who are oversharing half the time. And I would have definitely been in the oversharing category. Now, I don't know if I overshared. I think I shared a normal amount or what you see basically on social media. But for me, I always thought I'd rather be creating than consuming. And if I'm going to use the app, then I'm going to create on the app. I really did enjoy creating videos like reels, teaching girls how to treat their curly hair. I also shared recipes and tips for clearing my acne. And I did get a positive response from people on my influencer page. And I actually started to feel more connected to that page than my personal page or to the people on that page, even though I don't know those people in real life. The people on my personal page, a lot of them were from high school, old coworkers from 5 jobs ago, ex-boyfriends, ex-flings. Yeah, or even honestly, friends who are really like frenemies and they really don't want to see you doing good. That's another reason that I wanted to delete social media. I was like, why am I giving so many people access to my life? And you know what I'm talking about. There's some people who are silently hating from afar. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to give them anything to talk about or anything to think about anymore. So, long story short, I was a little bit depressed and homesick after moving to Ireland. And I was like, I need to do something different. And immediately, because I was struggling mentally and I really hadn't had that experience before. So I kind of went down this healing myself rabbit hole. I was reading all these books about childhood trauma. And I was like, wait, my parents done fucked me up. What the hell? But you can't blame your parents for everything. You have to pick yourself up and move on. Yeah. During this time, I also read the book 10 Arguments for Deleting Your Social Media Right Now. And that is by Jaron Lanier. He is a neuroscientist in Silicon Valley, and he talks about all the downsides of social media. In this time, I noticed honestly only benefits, and yet I decided to go back onto social media 9 months later. But when I came back to social media, one, it was like, okay, nothing actually changed. Like, I'm not missing anything literally on this app. It's just a time waster. So, the benefits that I noticed from deleting social media include number one, reduced ADHD symptoms. As you probably have heard, everyone and their mom is now being diagnosed with ADHD. And not that I don't think ADHD is a real mental disorder, it definitely is. But a lot of the symptoms that people are experiencing are exacerbated by the use of social media. Social media has really done a number on people's brains. And you know what? I'm saying no. So my attention span was better, my moods were better, my anxiety was at an all-time low. I was able to concentrate on tasks for longer periods of time. Things like doing the dishes, laundry, whatever it is, making your bed, these little tasks that you do around the house that you always put off, or maybe sometimes you feel like, oh my God, I literally can't do anything. I just feel so lazy and I don't know why. All of that went away. It was almost like I wanted to do the dishes because I was going to get a dopamine hit from it, because you get dopamine from working hard at something and then being rewarded for it. So with social media, you're getting the reward, but you're not working for it. And again, I really recommend everybody read that book, Dopamine. It explains this pain and reward scale really well. I was always someone who is kind of anxious. I also had sleeping issues throughout my life, and all of that improved when I was off social media. I also noticed that my relationships in real life got so much better, and That is relationships with people that I'm already friends with and also creating new connections. It's weird. I've done this experiment with social media more than once, and every single time I meet new friends and grow deeper connections with the people I already know when I'm off social media. There's something about sharing yourself on social media that makes other people feel like they kind of know what's going on with you and maybe they don't need to check in and vice versa. Even though we know social media isn't real life, when we are watching stories, it is tricking our brain into believing that we have had a connection with this person when we haven't. And since you think that you've had that connection, you're not going to make an effort to really do the hard work there is to have meaningful connections. And I started to realize that I prefer meeting up with my friends and having a conversation and telling them what's up and what's new without them having followed my stories for the last week. So I met a few of my closest friends during that first social media detox. My relationship with Kieran got better. I felt like I was more in the present and I didn't feel this pressure to take pictures when I was out on vacation or anything. And Kieran is someone who's not really on social media. And I'm just like, oh my God, he just seems so stable and at peace. How does he do it? No, I wouldn't say it's just his absence from social media, but I definitely think it helps. Then on top of that, I don't know if it is like the universe acknowledging that I've taken this action to better myself, but other things just got better in my life. I was going on all these amazing trips. My skin cleared up. My sleep was amazing. I was building these strong connections with my friends. I got a new job. I was building relationships with my in laws. We moved into a new place. It was just like, I don't know, I just felt lucky. Do you know what I mean? I just felt so grateful and like everything was falling into place for me. Like my life got so good that you're like, oh my God, I got to share this on social media. I was traveling all over Europe and I felt this need to share my travels all over Europe. I was telling myself that it was for me and I wanted this like photo diary and that I just wanted to share with my close friends. But over time, it's now been, I think, a year from that point. I'm like, you're not just sharing this for yourself. You're really not. Like, go make a photo album, print some pictures out. You're showing off pretty much what you do in your life. And I'm like, why do I feel the need to do this? I don't know. And honestly, if a picture is that good or an experience is that good, I will share it with my close friends in a text message. And you don't have to share everything all the time. So at this point, we all know that social media is not good for our brains. And I have chosen to protect my brain and stay off of the apps. Instagram is pointless, right? But let's talk about TikTok. So, TikTok was a tough one because the app was just so much more interesting, and I felt like I was actually learning new things about interests that I had in real life. I was sharing videos about living in Ireland. You know, I was feeling so much better, and I was like, oh my God, I want to share my really cool, interesting life that I have here in Ireland and all the traveling that I do. And again, I did feel like that content was a bit more productive because I was actually helping people and showing them, you know, best places to eat in Ireland, things to do. But the problem with TikTok is it is so addicting that I feel like it's really impossible to be a TikTok creator and not consume TikTok content. And once you start consuming TikTok content, you're going to be there forever. And I just don't feel good after having a scroll session on TikTok, even though after being off of social media for 9 months and seeing how beneficial it was for my brain, I don't go on social media as much as I used to. But even the little amount that I did, it could easily get carried away. And yeah, I felt like there was better things I can be doing with my time. I think a lot of people think that they're doing something by consuming all of this content and learning things like, oh, I'm going to save all these recipes, or I just learned about XYZ that's unhealthy for me, or whatever. I mean, there's so many topics being discussed on TikTok, but people will sit there and consume, consume, consume. And while you're doing all this consuming, you're shooting your dopamine, and your dopamine is what you need to get the motivation to do the things that you want. Okay? It's a catch-22. Just because you're consuming content and learning things doesn't mean that you're doing anything. In fact, you're shooting your motivation and your ability to get anything done. And I have a few other friends who've also gotten off TikTok. they're just like, I can't. It's such a time waster. And like I said, it is killing your dopamine. So I really recommend if you are someone who is struggling with depression, anxiety, ADHD symptoms, insomnia, any of these things that relate to your mental health, you should try deleting social media, and not just for a week. Really try deleting it for 90 days and see how you feel. Is there a downside to getting rid of social media? Now, I would say the only challenging part about not having Instagram specifically, not TikTok or anything else, is when I'm here in Dublin and I want to look up a restaurant and I want to see pictures of the food, because Google reviews doesn't always do it justice. But honestly, I am starting to say to myself, you don't need to have the best experience every single time. Like, you're driving yourself mental by trying to find the best restaurant and the best sandwich every time you go out to eat. Maybe it's time to just look at a Google review. If it's okay, then go give it a shot yourself. Because there's plenty of times that you look at an Instagram, you go, oh, that looks good. And then you go have it. And you're like, actually, they're just really good at taking pictures. Or when there's holiday hours here at restaurants or cafes in Ireland, sometimes they'll post on their Instagram the adjusted hours. Like, that's really not a good reason to keep Instagram given how many downsides there are. But I would say those are the only times that I'm like, okay, I wish I had an Instagram. So the other thing is, I've been on social media since high school, if you count MySpace. That in and of itself is another reason that I was like, I want to go a whole year without social media. Like, I've never gone a whole year without social media since I was, what, maybe 14 years old, if you're counting MySpace. Like, that's a long time to be sharing your life and getting external validation. The other reason I've decided to delete the apps is because Kieran and I have a lot of great life plans coming up. And I think it's really important, if you're trying to manifest something in your life, that you kind of move inward and you reduce the amount of time that you're consuming other people's lives. That's one thing. And also, you want to protect your brain power. I don't want to be sitting there wasting time and letting my thoughts go to other places while scrolling through TikTok. I want to be focusing on my life and getting things done. So when I was doing Pilates instructor training, I had my social media deleted, and I felt this was very important because anatomy is freaking hard, y'all, and I needed to get it done, okay? But then after I graduated Pilates, I said, oh, well, I needed a Pilates business account. So right now I do have an Instagram business account for my Pilates work, but honestly, I have a Pilates job outside of my Instagram. My Instagram isn't generating any revenue, and it's actually not where I'm getting clients either. So I'm like, do I really need this? I don't think so. And I don't know. I just get too tempted to share things. And after I share them, I'm like, why did I share that? I don't know. Why did I share this picture of a delicious grilled cheese sandwich? I will be keeping YouTube because it is long form content, and I still get to learn about different things by watching long form videos. That being said, I try to stay away from YouTube shorts. I wish YouTube gave us a way to disable them. I think there's a little bit of a trend right now of being an introvert, being a homebody, loving when people cancel plans, rotting in bed. Y'all, rotting in bed is not cool. All of this is not normal. Yes, it's okay to be an introvert, and yes, everybody needs time to themselves to recharge. But I think there's a lot of people that are spending time cooped up in their house only because they have all their devices there to keep them entertained. Netflix, social media, their computers. If you didn't have any of that, then you would be getting outside and connecting with your environment, with your community. You would be making friends. But everybody's addicted to electronics and getting that quick dopamine hit. My friend Sarah and I did a 7-week pottery class. It was 2 hours every Thursday. And honestly, it was a little bit of a pain in the ass some days. You're just like, oh, I don't feel like going to pottery. But afterwards, you feel so good about just getting out of the house and doing something on top of making a pot. But all of these things, all of these little painful activities are the things that are going to help raise your dopamine and ultimately make you a more content person. I saw another creator here on YouTube, and she was talking about her life off of Instagram, and she was like, there's just something about having your deliciously juicy, interesting, cool life to yourself and the people that you care about. And I'm like, I know exactly what she's talking about. That's exactly what I felt like in those 9 months that I was off social media. And why I went back, I don't know. Well, I do know it was for Pilates, but now, like I said, it's time to go. So, anyways, guys, that's my rant about social media. I don't think I covered everything I wanted to cover. I usually have some notes here to keep me organized, but maybe I'll do a part two. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What is your relationship like with social media? How do you feel about being on it, getting off of it, whatever it is? All right. Thanks for watching.